Now we're going to bring you the final part of the Flat Earth saga. If you are a Flat Earth enthusiast, I applaud you for still listening and listening to this one. But finally, we're going to bring you, I think you're going to love this one because we're going to talk about all the ways you can prove very easily to yourself that the Earth isn't flat.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Weird World Podcast. My name's Carrie.
I'm Dean.
And part three.
Part three.
For those of you who are still with us.
I mean that if you are a flat Earth believer or a flat Earth, acceptor, like maybe, I don't know, I'm not just sure. I really do applaud you for still listening through this because, we've been a little snarky. At least I have.
Yeah.
Throughout this. Carrie hasn't. And
well,
I won't recap so much this one, what happened in parts 1 and 2. We covered everything. Today, we're going to cover two more things. One is we are going to talk about some of the ways, a lot of ways actually, that you really can kind of fairly easily and like just logically prove to yourself that the Earth is pretty round.
You mean other than reading books and
beyond that? Yeah, actually things you can do yourself right now, or maybe not always right now, depending on the time of day. Then we're going to talk about, so what is going on here? What is some of the motivations that might be influencing folks to think that the world is flat? And then finally, we are going to, at the very end, get back to Bob Knodel's experiment with the $20,000 gyro, and to Mad Mike Hughes, the rocket man, his experiment with the rocket.
Okay.
So first, we've heard all the reasons why the Earth might be flat and sort of their scientific or pseudoscientific reasons the Earth is flat. And we've heard a lot of the ways the Earth would be flat, what it would look like, et cetera, things like that. So again, maybe now we hear a little bit more from the other side. Those monsters at NASA, what are the things they claim that prove that the world is actually round? And some of the ways that you can prove this to yourself. Turns out there are a fair number of them. There are quite a few. And we've touched on most of them already. So I'm just going to go through some of them.
My suspicion is flat earthers may know about a fair number of these and they have a convenient reason why they're not true,
and that's fine.
Why it doesn't mean the Earth is round.
But they are true. Every one of them. And
sure.
Quite easily.
But what I'm saying is I'm not sure that it would convince anybody.
No one's going to convince anybody. I'm going to try to.
Okay.
I'm going to try and fail later on. I'm just going to implore the folks who believe in a flat Earth out there to just, try to be a little bit more open-minded. You can start, of course, with what we talked about, the clearly curved horizon. The Earth curves as it goes out distantly onto the horizon. We've talked about, you can see a ship go on the beach, look out to the ocean. If you see a ship going, we lived on the California coast for a long time. We were in California. We would see ships heading out westerly on the Pacific Ocean, and you would see the bottom of the ship disappear first, the top of the ship disappear the last, and vice versa when they were coming toward the coast. I mean, I saw it as a kid.
Yep.
So it never occurred to me, the question, it was flat, because I saw the evidence that it wasn't quite logically, throughout my entire childhood. So that again, we talked about that. Anyone can do it. You can do it on a big river or lake too, I guess, right? Like, big, right? You can see the same thing from the lake shore, I'm imagining, Lake Michigan or something like that. Same thing.
Sure. A big lake, not a river, I wouldn't think.
Well, it depends. If you're in the middle of the river, probably not. You're right. So again, that kind of seeing that ship disappear, the way it does can only happen on a round Earth. And as we know, flat earthers love proving that the Earth is flat through measuring things in water. And they try to measure these things over long distances of water. Uh-huh. And if they don't survey a curve or a dip in the altitude, say, oh, look, the Earth must be flat because look, it went that many miles and it didn't dip. In 2018, some round earthers decided to do this on the Salton Sea. Salton Sea is a large lake. It's a salt lake. It's an accidental lake in Southern California. And they invited a bunch of flat earthers, by the way, to make sure everything was on the up and up. The method was to attach targets to boats, and then they sailed those boats out onto the Salton Sea, and they measured them, see if they sunk in altitude as a curved Earth would demand, and surprise, they did. Later, one of the guys who was there, his name is Charles Johnson, he's a flat earther, and he was there, he witnessed what just happened. He would say later that, okay, I did it myself at another time on the same thing, and no, I didn't detect those targets going down.
Yeah,
so this is a super common tactic for those without honestly, without the facts on their side. It's not just sort of advocates of fringe beliefs. They do that very often. Say, well, our scientists say it's not true. Your scientists say, and they don't really have any scientists or any reputable scientists, at least. It's the same thing the fossil fuels companies do with global warming, where you buy off a couple of scientists who work for them and say, we don't see any sign of global warming. 99.9% of the actual real scientists say there isn't, but they say, oh, you know what?
Can't be sure.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Some experts say yes, some experts say no. Yeah. It's the same tactic that Charles Johnson and a lot of fringe believers too. And by the way, that tactic, folks, if you're using it or you believe in it, was invented by the tobacco companies, the tobacco industry, where they hired experts to say, we don't really think that cigarettes cause cancer. Yeah. When we now know from their own internal documentation, they fully knew that and they understood it and they knew they were lying from the get-go. Another one is what we also mentioned a while ago. You could watch a lunar eclipse. That's when the Earth passes between the sun and the moon. So the sun casts a shadow of the Earth.
Should go out tomorrow and watch a lunar eclipse.
Well, you know what?
You got time this one, right?
You do. With the shadow of the Earth onto the visible surface of the moon, right? And you see that it's the shadow of the Earth is a very round shape, proving again that there's a round Earth. You can check it yourself because they actually do happen fairly often.
Also,
they're not always visible though from everywhere.
Yeah,
that's the thing. They're not visible certain parts of the world.
Yeah.
When they happen, they're just visible from certain parts of the world. Yeah.
Although I have a picture that a friend of mine sent me. He is a photographer from the last solar eclipse, just a month or so ago.
Oh yeah.
And it's just of the shadow that the eclipse was making through the leaves of a tree, and very low tech. He didn't have, he wasn't prepared to take a picture of the actual eclipse with the right kind of filters and stuff. So that they look like little kind of crescent moons because at whatever point he was taking the picture.
Yeah.
So that tells you,
round.
That it's round.
Super, super round.
Right. Would that be? No, that's not the Earth though.
No, that's the moon. But still.
Yeah. Well, they believe the Earth, or they believe the sun and the moon are round.
Yes, they do.
So that doesn't help.
Doesn't help.
Sorry, never mind.
It's all right.
We'll cut that in post.
The last one of the lunar eclipse was early April of this year. The next one visible in parts of the Americas, I think it's mostly South America and Central America, will be March of next year, 2025. So maybe you can get down there and see one if you want to. About I got that from a website called Mr. Eclipse, so I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure that's solid facts. There's a website for literally everything. Just like here's the eclipses. Here's a schedule of different eclipses. All right, bro. Guess you have fun with that.
We're living in amazing times.
We are, kind of. So you can also climb a tree. Make it sure it's a tree on a nice flat plane somewhere. And if the world was flat, you will see exactly as far across that plane as you would at the base of the tree as if you climbed up into the upper branches of that tree. If the world is round and you climb up to the upper branches of that tree, you will see further along the horizon because you're now further above where the Earth starts to curve downward. You can see that downward, that far off downward part of the Earth. You can see more of that from farther up. The farther up you go, the more you can see along the horizon. That can only happen if there's a flat Earth.
But you'd have to be on a very flat surface where there weren't things in the way.
That's true. If the ground is slowly rising away from you, you're right. That can mess that, or vice versa. That can mess that up. You're right. But still, generally speaking, if it's a flattish, plane and you're on a tree, you'll see that, or a building or something like that. This is.
I mean, theoretically. Oh, I got no, because nobody lives in a place like this. I was going to say you could stand at your front door and then go in your second story window, but that's probably not high enough. And again,
you'd have to have a very lonely house on a plane.
See, it's the house across the street, so never mind.
In all likelihood, yes. How about a sunset, though? A sunset would do the same thing. So if you're someplace, again, you have to be in the right kind of place, but if you're watching the sun go down and say you're at a beach and you're watching the sun go down at the end, in the horizon of the ocean, right?
Yeah.
As you see, just like wait until the sun, however you want to do it, wait till it dips completely below the horizon and you don't see the sun anymore, or wait till it starts to touch the horizon and then run up. Say you have a 20-foot, 10-foot bluff behind you. Run up that bluff or run on top of a lifeguard station and you will now see more of the sun up for the same reason I just said. So if the sun had completely disappeared below the horizon, you'll still see some of it above the horizon.
Yeah.
If the sun had just touched the horizon at the bottom of it, you'll now see a gap between the bottom of the sun and that horizon. So you can do it very simply, yes.
Also, the way they explain the sun and the moon, they would never go down.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
They would just be going across the sky, right?
Yes,
so,
I think I'm going to get to that.
So no matter where you live,
Yes.
the sun rises and sets.
Yeah, I'll get to that. Trust me.
Okay.
I pray.
So I mean, all you gotta do is wake up and look outside.
That's one thing to do. Sure. I'll actually kind of get to that here. So if you've ever flown a jet and you've gone east to west or west to east, and you've gone for a fair distance, you've crossed things we like to call time zones, and or maybe call a friend who's in a different part of the country and ask them to look outside. Especially if it's near dusk or dawn, it's probably best because, hey, is it dark where you are? Yeah, it's light where I am. Curvature of the earth.
Yeah.
That what happens. Time zones and whole light and dark only exist because of the round earth. Time zones are the sun revolving around earth on a 24-hour daily cycle from east to west. So it's like you just said, it's light or dark because the sun is above or beyond you at any given time. If it can't happen, it's just going to be further away or closer over you, but it will still always be visible 24/7 if we had a flat earth. That's the easiest. If you can see the sun at part of the day and not see the sun at the other part of the day, you live
Where
on a round.
did it go?
You live on a round planet.
Yeah.
Sorry to tell you.
But the fact that they already know this,
yes,
it tells me that you know.
You know what else tells me that is that I didn't see. You know, they have a lot of sort of like you said, they have some answers. Well, actually, or what about like gravity with its going upward? There's no real great answer from the stuff I read. I had the whole goddamn website of the Flat Earth Society and tons of other things. I never once read a really good reason of why the sun doesn't go down.
I could make up a great reason.
Like what?
It goes down below the ice wall and then comes back.
That's what I would say too.
But it wouldn't go
but why not?
It wouldn't just bounce back.
It could revolve around a flat Earth, and the bottom of the Earth, which is the bottom of the floorboards of a.
No, it's their same explanation. You go down below the ice wall, you just pop up on the other side.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's exactly what I was saying.
But you're saying it has to go underneath.
What else would it do? Because otherwise,
just like what they say ships and planes do.
Yeah,
when
but
you get to the end, you just pop up at the other. The Pac-Man.
Yeah, the Pac-Man thing. So the sun teleports.
Yeah.
Maybe some do say that, and I missed it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If you're using that for planes and boats,
why can't you use it for the sun too?
It works the same for the sun,
which means magic, which means or something else. So
God would not be pleased.
But
but God created it, so it's okay.
A flat Earth with the sun hanging above it could not have time zones, could not have light and dark. And again, even if the sun moved east to west, it would just be bigger or smaller depending on how close it was to you. And then here's the weird thing too. Unless it teleported like you said, it would have to go from east to west and then start over again from west to east. So it would change every day. Every other day would be west,
time
east,
would go
east,
backwards.
west. It would go not even time going backwards. The sun would travel on a different path, going in a different direction. Yes, that would be phenomenal and cool, but it doesn't happen. So it means the world is round.
Yeah. And somebody should write a movie or a TV series set in a flat Earth, in a true flat Earth.
Flat Earth. And
that
everybody knew
cool.
it, and we proved it, and it was proved. That would be actually pretty cool. We have to cut that out again because I think
figure it out.
I'm going to write that screenplay.
Okay.
So sunrise.
But you got to credit me with the idea.
For sure. Of course. Okay. Absolutely. I'm not going to. I'm going to take and divorce her and just.
I'm not going to cut this out. Okay.
Wow, what a bastard. So sunrises and sunsets are evidence of a round Earth. Different stars, of course, visible in like the northern skies than they are from the southern skies. Same thing. We'd see all the stars at all the times, but they can see literally different stars that we cannot see in the northern hemisphere. They can see them in the southern hemisphere and vice versa. That can't happen in a round or in a flat Earth. It can happen and does happen and should happen in a round Earth.
Yeah, but all stars look alike. How do we know we're not seeing the same stars?
No, we're good at that. If one thing humans are good at is turning stars into shapes that they don't actually look like in any way, shape, or form.
No,
we're very good at that. So those 3 stars, I think, is the belt of a guy with a club. No, it's not. It's 3 stars that are roughly in line. So now back to people, you jet setters, you people on jets or any kind of long distance travel between continents. Remember our earlier description of a flat Earth with the continents kind of fairly tightly circling around the North Pole and these vast oceans, this vast southern ocean around the entire rim of the Earth, kind of circling all the continents. Remember that the shape of the flat Earth?
Yes.
If this was true, every distance and direction that we think we know and we've measured and understand would be wildly off,
right,
in many weird and unfathomable ways or impossible ways. Just to put the continents onto a flat Earth, you have to do some really, really weird things. So like the southwest coast of Africa almost touches Western Europe. I know it's hard to do, and we'll have some pictures up. It's hard to visualize, but think of North and South America, for instance, kind of tilted so they smash together. So southeast United States, like Florida, gets really, really close to like the northeast coast of Brazil, and it turns the Gulf of Mexico into almost like the Mediterranean Sea, almost an inland sea with just a little opening, a little gap, rather than the huge gap that it has, which is threaded with all kinds of different islands.
So think about that. If that was true, we would be traveling to Brazil all the time because it was so close.
Tiny plane ride.
Yeah,
instead of many hours.
Yeah,
it's ludicrous.
I've never been to Brazil.
I haven't either, but
it's so
if
far
it was
away.
close away, if it was close, I probably would have gone there by now. The Pacific coast of the U.S. and East Asia are on opposite ends of this disk. So think about that. So they are actually massively further apart than they really are, because to travel them by water or by plane, the way we do it, going from California to Japan, would be almost, in 2/3 of circling around these rounded land masses in the middle of this disk. It's insane. That plane ride from California to Japan would be, you'd have to land somewhere and start up again and stay somewhere. It's just impossible. So, and again, it's much easier to visualize this if you look at the picture. So look at the picture on some of our social media or on our website, and you can see all of these things for what they are. So how, to make this kind of thing true, you have to go back to the thing we talked about ad nauseum, all the lies. Again, pilots are lying, astronomers are lying, air traffic control people are lying, all of the plane people, every flight attendant,
cartographers,
is lying. Yes,
everybody who's
all
made
this,
a map.
I mean, and that's just for this weird distances and directions that get all screwed up when you try to fit a round Earth onto a flat disk.
So I wonder if any of them have ever really traveled. I mean, they must have. Well,
okay. This is funny. I was reading a website from a guy. His specialty is more like biblical stuff. He's kind of a biblical literalist. So naturally, as we mentioned before, a lot of conspiracy theorists, fans of conspiracies tend to believe lots of different conspiracies.
You're right.
And this guy was actually looking into a flat Earth, and he part of it was through interpretation of the Bible, because that has so much to do with the shape of the world. But in looking at the flat Earth, and he's kind of like, I'm just not sure. So he says, I personally do not know why the flight paths are the way they are. It could be an economic issue, as connecting flights might be determined based on the number of passengers available at each airport and not the most direct route. In any case, I'm not qualified to answer why the flight paths are the way they are. So he was what we were just talking about, he was trying to explain away, but maybe there's some weird flight paths.
Yeah.
So that's why. It's the dickishness of airlines that makes it so we don't travel directly like we really should on a flat Earth. Because, again, a trip from Florida to Brazil
should take an hour.
Instead of 6 hours, it takes 1 hour. So he's thinking maybe that's because the airlines just move here. No, a direct time, bro.
It's because not enough people want to go to Brazil. They got to stop 5 times to pick up more passengers.
There's lots of direct flights, and it doesn't take an hour.
Yeah.
So, but I think if I read that right, he was trying to turn airline assholeness into the reason why the Earth was flat, which is ballsy.
The one thing I admire about what he said was he's not qualified.
He was not qualified. Yeah,
he's not qualified to talk about a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So how about this? Why is every other planet round? I guess you can't look at. You can't look at it yourself. No, you really can. If you have a telescope, you can look at. You can see Venus and Mars, I think, can't you?
I have
and
no
see
idea.
that they're round. And most flat Earth is what we talked about.
You can certainly see the moon.
Yeah, you can see that it's not. So every other planetary body out there is round, and most flat Earthers admit that they're round. It's just the Earth that's special.
Because we're the
that's
center.
Flat. Yeah,
that's why.
I know it. And we'll get to the and motivations. There's actually one pretty good answer for a lot of it. And the same science that they use to explain these round planetary objects they just ignore for the Earth. That's odd.
Yeah.
And we talked about gravity. So you could jump up and fall in the same spot and things like that. But here's another thing. It's not just that gravity makes us fall. Gravity makes you go toward the center mass of an object. The center mass of a flat Earth would be the North Pole, which is the dead middle of that disk in between the top of North America and the top of Eurasia. What that means, though, is that any kind of gravitational force, or any force at all, would pull you toward the middle. So the further you were from that center mass, you're not going to be pulled straight down. You're going to be pulled slightly toward that center mass, horizontally to some degree.
But they don't believe in gravity the way we do.
But still,
so that's not very relevant.
We know gravity's a thing, and you can't have gravity work the way it does on a flat Earth. It would be wildly wrong. So, and then that's exactly why they have to deny the existence of gravity.
Mm-hmm.
But still, think about it though. If that was true, if you were over at the ice wall in the far edge of the disk and you jumped up, you would almost go horizontal.
Yeah.
Do you know how much money that would save martial arts movie people from the wire stunt work they have to do? I'm just saying, Michelle Yao, think about it. Start up a film, do a movie in Antarctica and see what happens. It might be a lot easier to do some stunts. Just throwing it up there. And of course, there are pictures, thousands upon thousands, I don't know, maybe millions of pictures from satellites and spacecraft that show a very clearly round Earth, that big blue marble that we're all famous for. It's not called the big blue coin for a reason. But the flat earthers still have their Bedford experiment. Remember from 1864, in which that flat Earth judge said, "Nope, I rule for the flat Earth." And the surveyor guy, Wallace, said, "You're a troll. I'm not even going to, respond to you." And so the reporter said, I guess they give up. The flat Earth people won. The Earth is flat. Yeah. And that's how it was reported by these really lazy journalists. It's almost like, remember the Olympics where the East German judge would clearly give the inferior Soviet skater a 10 and they'd beat the American or whoever else. Remember that? That's like, it was like one of those East German judge kind of things. And the Soviet skaters running around with the ill-gotten gold medal. And
Dean's harkening back to Cold War era Olympic scores.
It was real, man. It was terrible. The Bedford was a lot like that. So to this day, the Flat Earth Society talks about the Bedford experiment, and the way it's reported as if, so there, look, we won.
Oh boy.
It's still sort of a chit. It's a notch in their belt proving the flat Earth. In reality, what happened is the story doesn't end there. A replacement judge came along for this flat Earth when they realized that how biased he was, and a non-biased. I think he was not even he was just a person, like a local judge or something like that.
Yeah,
I can't remember exactly. And he said, no. Obviously, the survey equipment was correct, and Wallace, won the bet. He should get the $500, the 500 pounds, which again, as we established, is $7 trillion in today's money. Hampton, he was the flat Earth guy. He said, I'm not going to pay. In fact, I'm going to sue you, Wallace, for claiming that you won this bet. And then Wallace countersued, and it got really, really nasty. Finally, Hampton, the flat earther, was thrown in jail because he made death threats against Wallace in public. Sound familiar? As far as I know, Hampton never paid.
Of course not.
And did he have $7 trillion rolling around in his pocket? I don't think so, but still, he should have paid. Should have paid some of it. So that's how the Bedford experiment ended. In fact, it did not, doesn't prove that the Earth is flat by any stretch. I want to change this now.
Yeah, I was going to say, go ahead.
So, as I mentioned up front, I've been maybe a little over the tarp, which is a word. I've heard that phrase. It's not over the top. Some people say over the top. Some people say over the tarp. I choose the latter. I'm from Michigan.
No, you're not.
I'm not from Michigan. So anyway, I've been a little over the top. I'll say it your way. Fine. In kind of the snarkiness, I admit, because the flat Earth theory is one of those conspiracy theories that is so patently not true, it defies belief in the believers, I think, to some extent. There's no serious really doubt about whether the Earth is flat or round. There's no gray area. We can literally see it with our own eyes and do. It's like birds aren't real, but taken a lot more seriously.
But birds aren't real isn't real.
Exactly. But why is flat Earth taken so seriously, and why does such a large percent of people at least are open to the idea that the Earth is flat? So
although I should say,
about that, yes,
I think there is some component of people who think birds aren't real is real.
Probably.
And
For
believe
sure.
that birds aren't real.
Absolutely true. That's
But
true.
I think there's other stuff going on.
But it does. Flat Earth is so kind of nonsensical. It makes you wonder how many people really believe it, how many are just kind of trolling us. So, and the motivation for the folks trolling us is really obvious because you can monetize this kind of thing very easily now on YouTube. And essentially, they're grifters, which is what a lot of them are.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are some people on those YouTube channels who do this who truly believe it, but I'm also sure that the majority of them are just it's a profitable grift.
Which is why somebody should do a little investigation and charge somebody with fraud.
How about YouTube stop allowing them to monetize their misinformation? We can show that I know it's free speech, they can say whatever they want, really, but you don't have to monetize.
But YouTube doesn't have to allow it on their platform, and
we know YouTube. It's lies.
Yeah,
you know what they're selling is not true. It's like what if someone has a fraudulent commercial item or some kind of product, you can take that down. It's the same with these bullshit ideas which are being monetized. They're no different than selling soap that's shitty soap, and you lie about how good the soap is. You can. There's consequences for that, but there's not consequences for nonsense ideas, which are the same thing. They're still fraud in a sense. They're still monetizing.
There's consequences for selling shitty soap.
Very rarely. Should be, or some. Theoretically there could be, but it's almost never true. I just mean fraudulent products. How's that?
Okay.
So I know this might seem ironic that because earlier I rejected the idea that round earthers are grifters because they're not. They don't have the motivation. There's zero evidence that that's true, and there's just no logic behind people saying that the earth is round. No one's monetizing the argument that the earth is round. It's just common sense, and they're mostly just scientists, just people. Whereas on the other side, they're making money off of this. So you see a vested interest there. You see a pretty clear motivation there for doing what they're doing. Or they become sort of pseudo celebrities on YouTube. They get lots of hits and lots of followers by preaching this kind of nonsense. What they do, there's a lot of science or quasi science trotted out in the flat Earth cause that most of us don't understand, me included.
Yeah,
and it's this gap,
like centripetal force.
I still don't sure what the hell is that centrifugal and centripetal. I think I may never. And did you notice that the explanation of them are awful?
It's terrible.
They're terrible. It's like, a tetherball is evidence. No, it's not. It's on a rope.
Practical, real world example, terrible. And they can't do it.
Hey, you people on when we look you up in Google who are trying to explain centrifugal and centrifugal force, you are awful.
Yeah,
okay, I'm just telling you.
Even Jack couldn't explain it to me.
It's bad. Even Jack, even your son.
But he's a science guy.
He's a science guy. He's our science child. So, but this gap between using this pseudo-scientific sounding stuff and knowing people don't understand it is what gives them their edge. It allows them to throw this stuff out and be believed. It's the more technical it sounds, the more sciencey it sounds, the harder it is for people to just logically refute it.
Are there explanations, sciencey and technical?
A lot of them are. Yeah, absolutely. They'll use formulas and all kinds of. They're gibberish, but they'll do it all the time.
Because it sounds kind of silly and juvenile to me, like a giant ice wall and that kind of stuff.
That's pretty lame. But they will try to sound as sciencey as they possibly can, especially when they're measuring water and things. They'll use engineering type speak. And remember the gravity thing? They took the formula for gravity and applied it to this dark force or whatever. It's the same kind of thing. So, we've shown that any follow through on their assertions leads you quickly to the absurdity that is at the core of their claims, but it doesn't matter because they obfuscate it in this jargonistic way. So let's ask ourselves, why do the believers believe? If it's like I said, it's weird.
Yeah.
We've just run through a bunch of ways that it's really easy to show that what they're saying to you, I'm talking to the believers, is clearly not true. So why do they believe this? Let's start with the modern origins of the flat Earth. Remember the Zetetic method? That modern flat Earth was absolutely founded on. It was the idea of Samuel Rowbotham. He was kind of the all-father of the original modern flat Earth. Really, and remember, modern flat Earth is kind of the origination of this flat Earth idea because it really wasn't a thing prior to the mid-19th century. So he said that basically if it feels right to you, it must be true. You got to figure out how it's true. Flip that. You could easily flip that. And if you are unable to wrap your head around something, then it must not be true. And I think to some people, that's where flat Earth just seems truthier to them than around Earth for some reason, or they can't wrap their head around. It's confusing to think, wait, how does the sun revolve around the Earth, and the Earth also revolves around the sun, and the moon revolves around what if the Earth is flat? It's easier. It feels more right to them, so they choose to believe it. I think there's some people out there in the flat Earth. That's why.
I was going to say every fifth grade science class had
You had fifth grade science
a
classes?
mobile of the solar system.
Yeah.
That's not a hard thing to comprehend or to explain.
You've forgotten it by sixth grade, and then you're thinking, wait, how did that work again? I don't remember. Earth is flat. Okay. I'm not saying a lot of people this is the reason, but I think some people, a much, much more likely reason for many of them is a distrust in authority.
Which is weird. It's a weird hill to die on.
Never been bigger than it is
I agree.
now. And that movement, in my mind, it's a sad story because it started kind of rationally. Remember, this question of authority started in the 1960s. And that was at a time when the reason they were doing it is because they realized that the government, the authorities really were lying to you all the time about Vietnam, about civil rights, about things like that. Mm-hmm. But that morphed into something much more unsettling and unsupported, and that was the distrust of anything, quote, official.
Right.
The, quote, official story has become code for it's a lie told by some authority. And those authorities, they can never be trusted, and quickly it became they can never be trusted about anything. So in this process, real authorities, and by that I mean like actual experts, just not motivated by greed or any kind of lie, anything like that, just impartial, actual topic experts of all sorts, and scientists got swept up into the same bucket as the, quote, official liars. They were they in the they don't want you to believe kind of thing. So distrust in anything official became foundational for those who felt like they were too smart to be fooled. And we'll get that, which is a little bit different, but then distrust to authority, it's more empowerment. We'll talk about that in a second, but let's stick with the distrust because so what happened is conspiracy theorizing started to flourish and it became mainstream. If every official was lying, which is what so many people began to think and more do every year, it seems like, then the people who argued the opposite must be telling the truth. So think about it. So now conspiracy theory people, if the official story is always wrong, whoever says, here's the unofficial story, has to be right in most cases. It gets worse, though. Since most conspiracies are not true, and it was usually experts pointing this out, it became the norm for the conspiracists to attack the experts. So more and more you had this, some people call it the war on science. It should be, there's the war on Christmas, not real. The war on science, very real.
Yeah.
And it's way beyond just fringe beliefs. It's from corporate actors and those and government actors too. Mm-hmm. The media fell in line very quickly because easiest reason in the world. You don't take a conspiracy to say the media loves a conspiracy because the media loves money. We know that that's not, they would even deny that. And so they quickly realized that there's this growing audience of conspiracy believers, so they tapped into it. And so soon conspiracists and fringe players monetizing their stories, their arguments, replaced actual real expertise throughout the media landscape. Watch any show on basic cable about anything, and you almost never see actual scientists. You see pseudoscientists and fringe believers. If you do see the actual scientists, they take them out of context, or there's one of them in 5 conspiracy believers on just about everywhere. And even mainstream media, that didn't used to be true. That's what I mean by these kind of fringe beliefs have become very much the mainstream. Mm-hmm. The whole martyr syndrome of, that's why the people don't come forward because they'll be ridiculed is utter goddamn nonsense. Is the exact opposite these days. It's much easier. It's a much more the path of least resistance to say you do believe these things than to say you don't. And it's much, much more enriching, for sure. And their audience was always those I'm too smart to be fooled kind of people by official stories, which ironically made them easy targets to be fooled. So the war on science is raging. Science and expertise is being attacked everywhere. And again, not by just the conspiracy theorists. Corporations who don't want light to be shown on their bad behavior, what do you think? What do? They attack scientists. The fossil fuel companies attack scientists. Yeah. The tobacco companies attack scientists, etc. Politicians who want there to be no mediation between them, their bullshit, and their audience, what do? they attack the people who are impartial. That's why the whole myth of a liberal media comes from the desire, because ironically, the Nixon administration realized they needed it the only grouping that was powerful enough to expose what they're doing in Vietnam was the media. So they started to attack the media, and they chose an ideological based attack. It was never true. It's still not true. It has never been true. But it's effective, and it becomes kind of, again, mainstream. Ask anyone; they believe the media is liberal bias.
Yeah.
It's not true.
Yeah.
So, social media sites, they're cashing in on all the bullshit that they shovel to us to millions of people with our wide open mouths. They're going to attack experts too, because experts are saying knock that off, or saying, look, the stuff you purveying is bullshit. So Zuckerberg and those types pretend that they really care about. And we all know they don't. They do minimally what they have to do to not be regulated, and that's it. So it's not just the fringe people. There's a lot of people making money off this, and a lot of people want to attack science and expertise. So, and then what kind of concurrently and kind of not exactly the same force, but what evolved from this was this kind of everyone is their own expert kind of a mindset. Have you noticed that? The conspiracy people really think like, hey, man, I've read everything. I've really studied this. Yeah. I'm an expert. It's like you don't need experience or training or qualifications to mouth off on YouTube about anything you want to do and want to say, and thousands do exactly that. So the audience has been trained to not expect real expertise, not demand actual experience and expertise from the people who are supposedly teaching them about this new topic or whatever. Mm-hmm. Anyone can do it, and anyone does. That's terrifying. Yeah. Think about that. If I want to learn about something very technical, I'm going to turn on YouTube, and I'm going to learn that from some person who has just as little knowledge about it as you do.
That's exactly what I do.
That's horrifying.
But I'm talking about, how to
crochet,
but even like technical things. Like, remember when our dryer was broken?
Yes.
And I was trying to fix it myself.
Yeah.
I watched lots of YouTube tutorials.
Did they know what they're talking about?
Guess what? I didn't fix it.
You didn't? Yeah.
No, but that's just because it needed a whole new motor, and I couldn't do that.
Oh, okay. But still,
I've learned how to do some amazing things using YouTube tutorials.
So see, that's what I mean, though, because there's not a ton of money to be made on teaching you how to fix a dryer. It tends to be people who are qualified and understand dryers. In flat Earth and fringe beliefs, it's not people who are qualified to talk about that, because anyone qualified about that would not think the Earth is flat in the first place. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That's what I mean. So, and even better for the believers is that you can just watch these few videos or read a few posts, and suddenly you too are an expert. Some may even read the content voraciously, and they really do this deep dive, right? The problem is, as I mentioned, all that material that they're getting, all that information they're getting is someone who is essentially a fraudster. Mm-hmm. So you're getting all this expertise from someone who has no expertise themselves. It's pointless. It's circular. But it emboldens you, weirdly, to think that you really do have expertise in that. Let's call it the Aaron Rodgers syndrome.
And they're also always so fond of saying, do your own research.
Oh my God.
Do the research.
That's Aaron Rodgers ends every sentence with do your research, do the research, or look it up. Look it up, man. Look it up, bro.
Yeah.
Do the search. If they send you a link, that link, and they usually don't, but if they do cite a source to send a link, is that what I've just been talking about is some non-expert, drinking the Kool-Aid kind of person, or just some fraudster.
Yeah.
It's more likely than that. Just some grifter on YouTube. I mean, honestly, YouTube is mostly grifters at this point, where if there's money to be made, you're a grifter. And the topics are endless. One of them is flat Earth. So yeah, but you do this work and you feel special, and you feel knowledgeable, even though you're absolutely not. And it kind of acts like a shield against having the open mind to find out the truth, because you think you already know the truth. I'm an expert in this field, so I don't need. You can't teach me. You can't. Nothing you say is something I don't already know and have rejected. So it's very insidious in that way. You for sure have a very closed mind, but it's also, if you know that you don't know something, you're more likely to arrive at the truth than if you think you know something that's wrong.
So one of these billionaires who has a space program or whatever they're called, they should donate a shuttle ride.
Ooh.
to a bunch of flat earthers.
That was expensive. How about one?
They can afford it.
For sure they could. Yeah.
And just send them up there.
Yeah.
So they can see for themselves.
It was, yeah. You know what they did, Carrie? They drugged them.
I
They put them in
know.
a soundstage. They saw a movie on the screen. You think we're fooled by that? Nice try, Schmelon Husk. I don't think so. So, yeah, that wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. It's a good idea, though. And here's the thing. It's so sad because it didn't used to be like this. Remember when science was something that we were not just respectful of. It's like, thank you.
You just take it
science.
for granted.
Yeah. If science taught us something that was really cool or made us something that was really neat, we said, hey, thanks, science. We didn't know that heavier than air objects really can fly. You gave us that. Thank you. Or we didn't know that you could get a shot and it could prevent you from getting some kind of deadly disease. Oh my God. Thank you, science. That was
it
nice.
Works. Yeah, I was going to
Fist
say,
bump.
they gave us better living through chemicals.
Yeah. I'm not saying, trust me, science does horrible things and has wrought.
Well, science doesn't do horrible things.
No, you're right. The
People
misuse
do
of
horrible
science.
things. Yes.
But it did a lot. It did and does and will do again unless we completely destroy it. Very good things. And
Yes.
unless it was, and we typically were appreciative of those efforts. That's just absolutely not true anymore. Now, so much of the internet, if science says something, everybody comes out. I mean, the COVID and vaccinations is just a perfect example of that. Science is saying we can help save literally millions of lives. And the internet became just every day it got worse of people, not just rejecting that, but attacking that. How many death threats has Anthony Fauci received? Hundreds or thousands. That's terrifying.
Beyond.
That's evil.
That many, yeah.
So instead of science, we get YouTube and assholes on YouTube. It's a very bad trade-off. And it's really weird too, because what if you're like, say you're a computer programmer and you're good at coding, should a geophysicist say, dude, you're coding all wrong. Here's how you do it. Me with no expertise whatsoever, no qualifications whatsoever. Here's how you do it. And not only am I going to tell you how to do it, I'm going to do it very publicly. I'm going to make money off of that. And I am going to attack you personally and viciously in the process. That's literally what happens every day on YouTube. I mean, just zero expertise, zero qualification, mouthing off. When you're when you're quote learning from these frauds and grifters and these clueless cranks, it becomes doubly dangerous because your certainty that you feel so certain about has come from a con. It really is. It's just a self-defeating intellectual nightmare. So, but what happens, this is a long-winded way of getting to my next thing, which is empowerment. Having this kind of certainty, believing in conspiracy theories makes many people feel very powerful. They feel a little bit more in control. And social psychologists have looked into this, and it's a very well-established fact, I guess. So we see the truth. That means we're smarter. One researcher into this said, quote, he was talking about flat earth beliefs, by the way, said, you feel like you've got a better handle on life and the universe, it's now more manageable, end quote. So some of that is just feeling smart, feeling more in control. But, that's not another factor, another motivation for flat earth beliefs, I think, is the Fox Mulder from
X-Files.
X-Files. Remember the poster? It said, I want to believe.
Yeah.
A lot of people just want to believe. They want to believe in something and anything.
Yeah.
And the flat earth is one of those things. It makes you feel like you're part of
Which
a
is just
group.
You can believe in aliens. That's fine.
They do.
It's fun.
They probably do
that's
also,
fun.
but there's also other things. But it's fun until you join a cult.
I mean, okay. So,
think you're
believe
being-
that they're out there.
Yeah, but
It's different than
absolutely.
believing you're visited in your dreams or whatever.
Impregnated and have babies and you've been kidnapped
Yeah.
and probed all the time. That's dangerous. That's a psychological
I really
problem.
want to believe in ghosts.
Oh, everyone wants to. I would
I know.
love for there to be ghosts.
Me too.
You know what? I would love for there to be aliens, and I'm
And
not
I'm-
100% sure there aren't aliens.
Oh, me neither.
But I need to be.
Yeah.
I need really, really strong proof for that, and I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
So, and which is, I wish, it's going to sound so conceited, but I wish everybody had that attitude, because we should have that. We should have that attitude about anything that's a phenomenal or fantastical kind of a claim. That's common sense. So those people who have researched flat Earth beliefs have consistently found that the adherents believe in a broad menu of conspiracies out there. So I mentioned that too. So these are I just want to believe. It's not just a flat Earth. That these folks believe in is all kinds of conspiracy. The flat earth is just another one. So I
Yeah.
think a lot of flat earthers are this type of person, the I want to believe kind of a person. You know, it's like some elite is fooling us. We're not going to be fooled. You know, it could be 9/11, it could be vaccines, it could be the Illuminati. It goes on and on and on. You believe, and then you believe in flat earth goes on top of that, and all of them kind of, you know, prove the other the other part is true, because you need the same thing. The elites are lying to us. The wool has been pulled out of my eyes. Everybody else is just sheeple. They all kind of reinforce those things. They all fuel one another. You're going to say something.
Oh, no, I wasn't. But I do have a question.
Yes.
Are there any like actual studies of people in the Flat Earth Society and how their beliefs intersect with those other things?
I'm not just stating that. Those are from studies. The people have studied the Flat Earth people. They remember they've gone to the conventions. They've interviewed them. They psychology. I don't know if it's all from psychology or sociology, but there's lots of folks out there studying the Flat Earth and other fringe beliefs.
Do they have other like demographic statistics, like college degrees and socioeconomic?
Didn't we talk about the first one? One of the first ones that
I don't remember.
They're all men. They're mostly men.
Yeah.
They're mostly kind of in their 30s and 40s or
older white men.
Older white men, not young. And we talked about maybe that's changing, because you do have a lot of millennials now, and even some Gen Zers who are starting to believe that kind of stuff.
How about education level? Do you remember? Did it?
I don't remember education level. I don't remember. It probably has been cataloged. I don't know if I came across it. I don't remember it. But not a lot of PhDs.
Probably not.
Are going to be at that Flat Earth conference.
Could be a PhD in theology.
Or they got a PhD from one of those, fake,
University of Phoenix.
University of Phoenix, like University of Southern New Hampshire. Or my new favorite, Grand Canyon University, like they're a real thing. Dude, people, they're a for-profit scam. Don't give them your money. So, sponsor us, GCU. That'd be awesome. No, we're big fans. Trust us. So don't listen to the show. No, don't listen to the show. Just send us a check. Flat Earth and other conspiracy beliefs can also be useful for other means. They can provide ammo, for instance, for anti-government bias. So I think a lot of people who are anti-round Earth are also the anti-government types. Again, they kind of gel together. The demo for them is very similar to the demo for the Flat Earthers that we just described. They like to attack experts. They tend not to like science. Science is, they kind of glom on with the bad, evil government authorities, and they don't want you to believe kind of a thing. So, and a lot of the experts who are saying no to these fringe beliefs are from government or from academia, which seems like a close cousin to government. So a lot of this, you can see how the anti-government bias can feed a flat Earth belief, or at least, or vice versa even.
Yeah.
Some folks, I think, are just contrarian. They just want to say no. They want to rally you up. They want to start something. On the internet, we call them trolls. And I don't think they're all trolls in the flat Earth, but I think there are a chunk of those flat Earthers who are just that classic contrarian.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, though, here's the one, and I promised you one motivation that's more important than all the others combined, I think. And what I talked about earlier, the research into this is very clear on this factor. The primary motivation for flat Earth beliefs is religious fundamentalism.
Okay.
It's at the core of it. Was the absolute genesis of that mid-19th century and later 19th century and into the 20th century belief in flat Earth. That was almost entirely from the biblical literalist type who thought they read the Bible and they thought the Bible told them the earth was flat, so they said the earth was flat, and they went around having experiments about it. There are lots of flat earthers who aren't religious fundamentalists or biblical literalists. Lots of people sent down that rabbit hole by, the algorithms on YouTube and Facebook aren't necessarily like that, but you can bet that a lot of the folks who make the videos that they're watching are motivated by that.
Yeah.
It's kind of an uncomfortable fact for many flat earthers, because they like to think of themselves as these really, I'm so logical, I'm so reasonable. And so it's a little like the Flat Earth Society, which, its genesis has this kind of an overlay, doesn't talk about it and downplays it pretty clearly, at least from what I could read on their website.
So they try to sound more scientific,
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
They try to sound sciencey, not religious.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to get as many adherents as they possibly can, I think. I mean, I don't know for a fact, but that would be my suspicion.
Yeah.
Part of this, the reason you have to have this is because you can't have a flat Earth without some kind of divine intervention. Remember the whole Pac-Man effect. It has to be something divine. That's supernatural. That's paranormal.
Yeah.
There has to be something going on there. This mysterious dark force that drives up our disk world and makes us think we have something called gravity.
Yeah.
There has to be a God at the bottom of that. Any disc-shaped planetary object would have long ago collapsed into a ball like every other planetary body that we've ever seen, literally.
Yeah.
So God must be using his all-powerful palm to keep the Earth flat for that to be true or something like that. So even those who try to sound sciencey need divinity.
Yeah.
And whether they know it or not, whether they admit it or not, and they usually don't like not to admit it. And the odd thing about this is that it's not even based on real biblical teachings. Remember we talked about that? There's a few, they just take a few snippets from the Bible here and there, the four corners and stuff like that,
right,
and say that means the Bible says absolutely truly, unerringly, because the Bible is the unerring word of God, that the world is flat. Well, lots of biblical scholars say, no, those were idioms, or those were just sort of metaphors and literary verbiage. And so they just kind of cherry pick these things in a way, so they don't really even need to, but they did, and it's kind of too late now. So if you find yourself going down this particular rabbit hole called the flat Earth, I'm just give it some thought. I implore you, think about who told you it was true. Do they have any real experience in any relevant field? Do they have any qualifications? Ask them that. Ask yourself that. Are they monetizing their supposed beliefs? Did you believe in a flat Earth because it supported other beliefs, other biases, or because you believed in other conspiracies already? Were you exposed to the flat Earth on YouTube? If your answer yes to that, you need to really, really, really question it. None of these are conclusive on themselves.
No.
But all are red flags. Like if somebody monetizes something on YouTube, that's fine. There's lots of, you monetize makeup or whatever. But it does at least, it should create some kind of a question in your mind as to their motivations. That's all I'm saying. It's wise to always question your certainties, but this is especially true if your certainty is based on like your self-taught assessment. And this self-taught assessment is at odds with almost every qualified expert in that field. Think about that. It's that, that individualism on steroids is that all the experts think, but I, who have no qualifications or experience in this field, say no. I'm right. Everyone else is wrong. That's just not ever true. It just isn't. Everybody thinks, well, how about, Galileo? There were tons of people who, like Galileo, knew that the Earth revolved around the sun. They just didn't want to talk about it and get killed. Yeah. And he was willing to and almost got killed. Yeah. So I think it's kind of like, you've heard of the Dunning-Kruger effect?
Yes.
It kind of comes into play here. That's when those with the least genuine knowledge about a topic tend to be the most certain of their beliefs in that topic. It's very weird. It creates this overconfidence that prevents them from being open to the truth. And it kind of acts like this shield against rationality. That's what I was talking about a little earlier. This Dunning-Kruger is big in the flat Earth world. Yeah. I think.
I just fall back on there is no flipping way a gazillions of people could be in on and keeping the conspiracy alive.
That's crazy.
It's just
that and light and dark. It's like, we're done. Yeah.
And the actual science.
And lots of other things too. I shouldn't say that. Yeah. But there's a couple of like, okay. That's what I mean by it's one of those conspiracy theories that's just so laughably ludicrous. It's weird that anyone thinks about it who genuinely thinks it's true.
Especially this day and age.
And I want to be careful. I don't want people to think I'm saying don't question authority. Absolutely question authority. Authorities lie daily. Yeah. Just have some humility. Be smart about it. Question the people questioning the authority. That's fair. That's rational. Try to be even-handed about it and try to be open-minded. I know people who hear me say open-minded are so pissed off because all fringe theory believers believe that they're the ones being open-minded and you, the skeptics, will be the ones being closed-minded. That's the opposite of the truth in almost every case. Yeah. Just use common sense. Think about it. Again, this vast ironically, global conspiracy for centuries has been forcing all serious scientists, navigators, pilots, et cetera, to lie. And these smart, brave souls who have no expertise on YouTube are the ones who tell the truth. That's beyond the pale. So now, that's my screed. My screed is done. I will get off my high horse and my soapbox, and I will finish up by finishing the stories of Bob Knodel and Mad Mike Hughes.
Okay.
So back to Bob Knodel first. Remember, he was the guy. He bought that $20,000 gyroscope to prove there was no rotational drift. And thus, if he can prove that, he'd put a hole in the round Earth theory, the round Earth conspiracy. So he did this experiment. It involved, by the way, like holes through some plywood walls and a light source going through those holes. And the gyroscope was going to measure how they. Again, I'm not going to lie. I don't understand the science of it. But Bob Knodel did to a certain extent, and he got a gyroscope to measure it, and he knew what was supposed to occur with it. Bob was brave enough, or he was certain enough, and I think he might be a true believer or maybe he was dumb enough. I don't know. So he did this for cameras of a documentary called Behind the Curve. And it was about the flat Earth movement. It focused on I can't remember the name of one of the flat Earth theorists and believers, but it also looked in some other cases as well. It was originally on Netflix. I think it's not on Netflix anymore. It's 4 or 5 years old. Bob expected to see the light shine through these holes in his plywood fences, but and act in a way with measuring with the gyroscope that proved the Earth was flat. They're doing this on the cameras for the documentary, and the light's shining through, and he's reading his gyroscope, whatever. I haven't seen it. Unfortunately, I couldn't get hold of it. And he's repeatedly muttering, interesting, as the cameras rolled along with the sweat coming down his brow. Really? I imagine. Afterward, Bob boldly went on his YouTube channel and he said, quote, "What we found is when we turned on that gyroscope, we found that we were picking up a drift, a 15 degree per hour drift," end quote. What Bob Knodel had enough scientific experience to know was that result was wasn't just not what he wanted to find out. It was exactly what the finding that would indicate the Earth was round to the degree that he found. It coincided with the round Earth theory perfectly and against the flat Earth theory. He said, quote, "Now, obviously we were taken aback by that. Wow, that's kind of a problem. We obviously were not willing to accept that, and so we started looking for ways to disprove it was actually registering the motion of the Earth," end quote. That's pretty candid.
Wow.
You're saying this on YouTube. Other people besides your followers can view that thing on YouTube. So he tells his followers about this experiment that he designed, and not only admits that it failed to show his viewpoint was true, but it proved the opposite. And you know what? You just move right past it. Must have been wrong. I mean, that's a flex. George Orwell.
Do it again. He could do it again. Keep doing it.
I suppose.
And see how many times you get a wrong, in quotes, answer.
But that's ballsy. I think George Orwell would stand up and give him a slow clap if he was able to view that YouTube picture. He's that's a very big brothery kind of thing to say. It's like, nope, you didn't see what you saw. I didn't see what I saw. Let's move on. We'll figure out why what we all saw wasn't true.
Somebody sold me a bad gyroscope.
$20,000.
I want my money back.
Yes.
What year was this?
That was just a few years ago. I think the documentary came out in 2018 or 19, something like that.
And
several years ago.
Do we have any updates from him? Or
he's still out there with his YouTube channel talking about the flat Earth.
So it's not going
to stop him.
Okay.
It became a little bit of a cause celeb though, because he was even more candid. A few months after this, or a couple of years, I don't remember. He went to a flat Earth conference in Denver, and he was overheard, or I think it was a hot mic moment. He was speaking to a fellow flat earther, and I think he was caught on a hot mic. What he said was this: we don't want to blow this, when you've got $20,000 in this freaking gyro. If we dumped what we found right now, it would be bad. It would be bad. What I just told you was confidential. What he meant by the dump was the data.
Right.
So he was admitting, this is terrible. We were wrong, but I spent $20,000 in that goddamn gyro, and I'm not going to back down from this. So there goes Bob Knodel's credibility. But like I said, I think he's still on YouTube now, and I will bet he has just as many followers as he did before he said that and before he did this embarrassing experiment on the documentary. So that's Bob Knodel. How about Mad Mike Hughes? He's the daredevil flat earther. He took his rocket up successfully in 2018. Remember that? Yeah. 2018. He launched from the desert, the Mojave Desert in Southern California, and he's going to go up to 1,800 feet take a picture and see if you can see the curvature of the Earth or
Right.
not at 1,800 feet, or if he was right about our pancake-shaped world.
Mm-hmm.
He raised, but remember that he came out. He didn't really. He goes, well, okay, well that was interesting, and then he started raising money for another one.
Yeah.
Which I think, again, I just think he likes to fly in rockets.
Yes.
And the flat Earth thing is it enables him to do that.
How high do hot air balloons go? Just go.
There you go.
Pay
Yeah.
$200 for a
Did they
hot
go
air
1,800
balloon
feet?
ride.
I don't know if they go that
They
high.
must.
Yeah, they probably do. Okay. I don't know. We have to go to Mexico to find out. That's where they're big, apparently.
Yeah.
I don't know. So he raised enough money to build another rocket, and he did it again in 2020. And the plan was to go up. How many feet do you think he go up this time?
2,500.
1,800. I don't know why.
Oh.
But just checking his work. I'm not sure. He's going to go up the same distance, 1,800 feet. And he, got ready to do this rocket launch in 2020. The Associated Press quoted him as saying, quote, "I don't believe in science. I know about aerodynamics and fluid dynamics and how things move through the air, about the certain size of rocket nozzles and thrust, but that's not science. That's just a formula. There's no difference between science and science fiction," end quote. I don't know how much Bob believed that. I suspect very strongly he doesn't believe any of that, but he knows it's going to get him enough money to have a rocket. I don't know. Because, that's what you kind of need to say if you're in that world, in that little corner of the earth, of the little subset of folks. In other words, I think he's kind of playing a role.
Yeah.
And he did a good job of it. So this time, though, Mad Mike's launch was on TV again. It was going to be, it was filmed by a film crew for a TV show called Homemade Astronauts. What do you think? What channel do you think that was going to be on?
The Discovery Channel.
Even more specific,
The
Discovery
Learning
Media's channel.
The Learning Channel.
Science Channel.
Oh, Science Channel.
Channels owned by our friends at Discovery Media.
It is science to build a rocket.
Is it?
Sure.
Is it science? Okay. Well, in February 2020, well, you know how they're going to handle it.
Yes.
In February 2020, the film crew is there, and some fans were also assembled out in the California desert. Mad Mike launched. The videotape of that launch shows some fabric, presumably the parachute, flying away from the rocket very quickly. Just after he launched, you see this fabric fly away from it and out of this visual, out of the video frame. The rocket zooms up just like it was supposed to. It goes up to its 1,800-foot planned apogee, and then horribly, with nothing to slow its descent, it fell back at full speed to the desert scrub because that fabric was indeed his parachute. It dislodged somehow. So Mad Mike was declared dead at the scene.
Oh, no.
He was 64 years old. I mean, this is a senseless, needless death. As we noted a long time ago, you have to be 35,000 feet up to view the curvature of the Earth. It's math. It's geometry, or maybe trigonometry. I don't know the science of it, but it's not hard to figure out. People do. 1,800 feet would serve no purpose whatsoever, let alone doing it for something called Homemade Astronauts by Discovery Media.
Yeah.
Discovery Media's endless pursuit of profiting off of deceit, in this case, actually cost someone their life. I hope his family got millions of dollars from it.
Well,
I'm
he
sure
was
they
doing
didn't,
it anyway.
That's so
That's
vile.
not fair. He was doing it anyway.
It's fair because they're evil. And they, I don't know. I don't know if they gave him the money or we're just profiling or not, but I still hate Discovery so much that
I know.
I'm going to throw them on the bus on this, even if they don't deserve it.
Separate issues, but
I suppose. Well, I'm not going to apologize.
You don't have to.
They're so vile. That's it.
Oh,
that's all I have. That's all. It's not that much. It's a short 3 episodes of the Flat Earth. Again, I know
short.
This is not one where we've kind of like, let's have an open mind about it. We just don't know. There's plenty that we don't know about. I love these topics. I've been a fan of the paranormal literally since not long after I could read. But things like the Flat Earth are very aggravating because it's just a waste of your time.
Yeah.
There's so many other things that really do have mystery involved with them that you could be better spending your time finding out about and find out about it from people who actually know what the hell they're talking about.
They're not intellectually curious, Dean. They're not looking to solve a mystery.
I think many of them are intellectually curious.
I don't.
I think they're just misdirected.
You can't be. You can't be.
Well,
you literally can't be because if they're intellectually curious, then they're curious about all sides.
Well,
no.
I was just going to say. They're not. You're intellectually curious, but you have this.
You've already made up your
certainty.
mind.
Not you've already made up your mind, but once you made up your mind, you're not ever going to change your mind. So once you fell down that rabbit hole and it leads you to a flat Earth, you're done here. So you're intellectually curious, but also extremely stubborn and closed-minded about things. I don't think those two things
I do.
are impossible to have in the same person, in
I
the same
do.
brain. I think the flat Earth, that there's so many people who believe in the flat Earth, that's proof that they are. I mean,
I think once they went down that rabbit hole, if it was intellectual curiosity that brought them there in the first place, then that's the end of it. They are no longer intellectually curious.
that's kind of what I'm saying. At least on that regard, until they go on to the next one.
And I'm disagreeing that they were ever
I
intellectually
think they
curious
probably-
in the first place.
Otherwise, why are you looking into it? Right? Why are you?
Because somebody told you.
Was it Aaron Rodgers? It's probably Aaron
Probably.
Rodgers, wasn't it? He said, "Hey man, just look it up."
Yeah,
man.
they heard about
Research
it. You know,
Bro,
they
look
they
it
were
up.
on their anti-vax video
Yeah.
on YouTube.
Oh, that's very
and,
true.
And they got that.
Yeah, no, that's true.
It's not intellectual curiosity.
Yeah, I know. I
It's
guess
confirmation
it
bias.
depends on how you define intellectual curiosity. If you define it very, very broadly, is that just looking into anything along these lines, then they are intellectually curious, because otherwise they would never be. They would just be playing video games.
That's just plain curious.
okay.
You need the intellect.
Then you don't like the word intellectual with it.
Correct.
Okay. All right. There's some kind of curious. We're not going to call them bi-curious, because that's not fair.
Because
We
every
don't know.
conspiracy theorist is curious,
Yeah, I know. And
and they're not very intellectual.
Well,
Sorry,
it depends-
sorry,
again,
sorry, dude who listens to us, but clearly hates the fact that we're pro-vaccine. I hope you're listening. Thanks for listening.
Gary doesn't sound super sincere there with that.
Keep listening to give us negative reviews. And
Well,
complain.
I would argue those. You're defining intellectual in a always positive way, and it doesn't have to be. So intellectually curious can be, you can look into eugenics and torture, and you're still intellectually curious, but you're not. I don't think you would define that person, because you're defining intellectual as something always positive. That's not true.
Oh no, I don't.
Seems like it.
Not positive.
Oh.
True.
Okay, well, it's not.
And accurate.
You can be intellectually
They're very
curious
different.
and fall for lots of lies, I would argue. And indeed, the existence
you're
of
not-
YouTube proves that I'm right. I feel like.
Then if we're rating intellect, you'd be
Intellect and intellectual curiosity are not the same thing. I
Yeah.
guess let's put it that way. That's what I think anyway.
okay.
Okay. Anything?
We're going to have to intellectually agree to disagree
Okay,
on the
okay.
definition of intellectual curiosity. I can look it up when we're done here.
Okay. So that is the flat Earth. We hope you've enjoyed all three. Again, if you are a flat Earth proponent and you are still listening,
Yay, you.
applause, 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 as Lady Gaga would say.
I'm surprised you weren't singing that.
I will later. So that's it. We hope you enjoyed that. We'll probably have the next episode about something that Carrie thinks is interesting about psychology. Are you going to do dream interpretation? I hope you don't. Just kidding. So, what are you going to do next?
I don't know.
I know what you're going to do next, and it's actually going to be great. So,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say what it is, because I'm not positive, but I think I know what you're going to do next. It's going to be really
This is why our listeners like me better.
good. You're
Because
probably right.
you're mean and I'm nice.
I'm not mean. Your next topic. I think your topics are fantastic.
You
mostly.
make fun of my topics while
No,
I
I
sit here
don't.
and look at you like I'm interested in yours.
Oh, that's brutal. That's brutal. Now everyone's turned around. Carrie's the bastard.
No, they're going, yay, Carrie, yay. She finally said
Jesus
it.
Christ. Yeah. She said we've all been thinking. All right. Until next time.
Okay, thanks for listening. Bye.